I call the cops on you?
They had control over our public school system.
Welfare programs that were defrauded by Jews.
Tyler Oliveira did an investigation into fraud that's happening in New Jersey, and it's not getting the attention that we'd expect. Because especially coming off the heels of Nick Shirley's investigation into the Somali fraud, you think we'd have that same energy towards what Tyler discovered, but that's not the case. And I think part of that reason why is because of the community that his video is focusing on, and that's why people are even hesitant to even talk about it in the first place. But with that being said, it's very, very important to note that there is a difference between highlighting and talking about alleged corruption versus attacking an entire identity. So with that being said, let's dive into this video, starting off with Ben Shapiro.
How can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, you know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder.
That alone opens the floor, which I think is fair, for everybody and anybody to be critiqued and criticized. It is what it is. If Ben Shapiro, this is from over a decade ago, if Ben Shapiro can get on these stages and go on these college tours and do everything under the sun and say black people this, black community this, well, black kids this, black that, it should also be seen as equal for someone to go out there and say, well, Jews this, the Jew kids this Jewish neighborhood here, this Jewish community here. It's the same thing. I make videos talking about the black community, about the gay community, trans community. We talk about everybody. It's a commentary channel. In this video, we will be talking about the Jewish community. I don't think Ben Shapiro was necessarily racist for pointing out those things, and I don't think Tyler Oliveira or some certain people out there are racist for calling out or pointing out some of the things that we'll be going through in this video. Because full stop, I'm against fraud. I don't want fraud to exist. I'm against this idea, and I've talked about this before, about America not being a melting pot and more of like a mosaic. I don't like the idea of all these little different communities existing and just like coexisting next to each other. No, we should be in America. We should be in it for everybody, like United States of America. We should have a baseline of what America is. We should all work together, live next to each other. Like there should be some sort of community aspect. And when there's not, we talk about it. So I just want to highlight that and share that because I think it's a little bit hypocritical to say black kids this, black kids that, but if someone says, oh, well, like the Jewish community over here, and then it's all of a sudden anti-Semitic ban. It's a little odd.
It seems like you discovered that anti-Semitism is lucrative, no?
Pardon?
It seems like you
Why do you think anything that you don't like to see is anti-Semitism? Why do you always cry victim? Nothing about this is anti-Semitic. I've done this with many groups. Talk to them and try to understand their culture. You immediately screamed anti-Semitism the moment I met.
And that alone, getting immediately called anti-Semitic is the same thing. It's like immediately being called racist, immediately being called homophobic. It devalues the word. And now when someone's being called, oh, that person's homophobic, I'm like, well, shit, they're probably my friend. Hello. They probably don't like some of the crazy stuff the LGBTQ community is doing, like most gays do, especially the gays watching this channel. So we're like, I get called homophobic all the time. You're ruining what these words mean. Oh, don't talk to him. He's a racist. Cool. He probably my best friend. Sorry. Like, you ruined what the word means. I don't look at the term racist and see like whips and Klansmen and you know, I see somebody with common sense because y'all have done devalued what the word means so much. So when you come out the woodworks talking about you anti-Semitic this, anti-Semitic that, when he's just calling out fraud, you ruin and devalue what the word means for yourself.
on your posts.
What have I said that's anti-Semitic? Go.
When you
Explain one thing that I've said that's anti-Semitic.
Let me talk?
Go.
Okay. When you talk about people accepting government money,
Yep.
and the overlay is a bunch of pictures of fraud, you're trying to make people think a certain way. You're trying to twist it to make it look
Fraud
like
is
we're doing
fraud.
There were welfare programs that were defrauded by Jews. What did I say that was a lie?
There are
Go.
welfare programs that are defrauded by
Yes, and I made a Minneapolis video as well. I've made several videos.
That's a good point. The guy immediately jumped to, well, the Somalis are committing fraud. Well, yeah, we've talked about the Somalians. Fraud is fraud. We're talking about it all. And I don't think that this pushback that Tyler's getting, it's insane. And that's a big point I want to highlight throughout this video, is that we're allowed to have conversations. We're allowed to discuss different things and point out, oh, what's happening over here, what's happening over here. That's being fair. That's looking at all sides and everything going on. But if you're gonna call out something on one side of the argument, you should probably check yourself and make sure that you're not being biased yourself either. That's why I use Ground News. It's a website and app that shows you how the same story that you're reading or looking into is being covered across the whole political spectrum. That way, you're not just reacting to one version of the events. And you know this just as much as me. There is so much happening in the world right now. It's loud, it's overwhelming. And when everything gets like this and it's feeling chaotic, the only thing that can really, make you grounded is clarity. Ground News pulls the news from hundreds of outlets and organizes it by story. And their blind spot feature shows you which stories are heavily covered by one side and barely talked about on the other. And that's important because sometimes it's not about how the story is framed, it's about if you even hearing about the story at all. So instead of picking a team, the left versus the right, you can squash all that. And within Ground News, you can compare the coverage, the headlines side by side and see bias distribution, the ownership, reliability, and then you can decide for yourself. If you want to try this out, be sure to tap the link below or scan the QR code here on the screen, and doing that will get you 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the one that I use, and it comes out to the price of like a coffee a month. If we're gonna sit here and you with your own friends and your family too, if we're all gonna sit here and debate politics and culture and the news, hell, anywhere in between, then we should at least be looking at the same scoreboard. Form your own opinion, don't rent one.
So you mean to tell me it was okay for Nick Shirley to go to Minnesota and discover all the fraud in the Somali community, but when Tyler Oliveira goes to Lakewood, New Jersey and discovers the exact same type of fraud in the Orthodox Jewish community, he is now canceled and anti-Semitic? I'm trying to figure out how that works when nobody is saying anything about anybody's ethnicity or religion.
None of that. The point is that you're calling out fraud for what it is. And it's scenarios like this, examples like this that don't help or aid the current standing stereotypes and judgments faced upon said community. And not even just how people are viewing Jews, but like looking at it from like a left-wing perspective. This is why a lot of Republicans get called racist. When you have a white boy making all this content talking about brown people doing fraud, you're on the news everywhere, you get invited everywhere, retweets, merch drops, like you're getting treated like a celebrity. Like Nick's life has changed after that video. But then you have Tyler make a video about the Jewish community. It's got a lot of YouTube views. There's people like me and like Brett Cooper and like all those other people like sharing and talking about this content, but like it's not getting not nearly the same attention that Nick got. And that's something that's frustrating because I feel like fraud is fraud. If we're gonna call it out, call it out. It's okay to talk about it. No one's saying down with the Jews this, Jews that. No one's saying that. That's wrong. However, it's okay to call out when a group is doing something bad in a certain area, like Ben Shapiro did at the top of this video. He's not talking about all black people, but he's saying a good chunk of black people are doing X, Y, and Z. And Tyler's saying a good chunk of Jews in this little area right here are doing X, Y, and Z, and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be talked about. And this is very strange seeing how mainstream media and everybody like looking at these two stories.
The point that they're all committing fraud. It's not, no one cares that they're Jewish and this and that. No, it's the shit that they're doing over there.
Right.
So all the MAGA influencers decide to bombast Tyler and Nick Shirley now, when just last week they were national heroes, especially Nick Shirley. The reason why they're getting on Nick Shirley right now is because he commented under one of Tyler's posts about him going to Lakewood, New Jersey. He said, get them all. Well, the MAGA turned on Nick, right? Because you can't mess with those people. No, it doesn't matter what they do. You better not notice. You better not notice what that untouchable group of people is doing.
And saying that's when you go down that route of like, oh, someone's gonna call that man anti-Semitic for saying that or pointing that out, or you know, when someone's like, oh, you can't talk about the Jews run everything. Well, I'm sorry, if we're looking at this again from another point of view, why is it Tyler does all this content? It's like it's literally not getting the attention that it deserves. And I'm gonna pull up a clip because something happened to Tyler and it is very interesting. And again, it doesn't help this case. It doesn't help the stereotypes and none of that at all.
Less than 24 hours. That's how long it took for Patreon to delete my account after I uploaded a video titled, I Exposed New Jersey's Jewish Invasion.
Now, again, outside looking in, It is very peculiar. It is very odd, it is very strange, it is very weird that it seems like if you are someone to talk about said community, more the Jewish community, if you talk about them any sort of capacity, like again, like none of this is hateful, but if you say something or call out or point out a trend, you get ridiculed as the worst person ever. Ben Shapiro does, and Ben Shapiro did the same thing to the black community, again, at the top of this video. But if it's flipped, it's a problem.
No option to take down any videos, the entire account deleted overnight. Over the last few years, I've made videos critical of countless groups: Somalis in Minneapolis, Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, corrupt Christian megachurches, Pakistani Muslim rape gangs in England, Indians throwing cow poop at each other, drug addicts, pimps, prostitutes, gangsters, everyone. And not a single platform blinked. But the moment I made a video about Hasidic Jews using welfare to support families of up to 8 to 10 kids, my sponsors pulled out. In fact, old sponsors called me and said, hey, you need to delete the sponsorship we had in your video that's 2 years old. And the ADL even has the audacity to publish an article saying that my video harkens back to age-old anti-Semitic stereotypes for asking Hasidic Jews what they do for a living and if they're on welfare. How do they afford 8 to 10 kids?
It's just crazy how this one man makes this video talking about fraud, and all the attention is away from the fraud and more on him being anti-Semitic or being hateful, being this or that, when he's literally just doing what he's always done. So I don't know, but let's see for ourselves. I got some clips lined up to go through his actual video, and let's see the content that was in it that's apparently so bad.
Excuse me, sir. What are you doing? Should I call the cops on you? Okay, that's it. I'll be back.
Oh, brother.
Nobody wants you here. Please move out.
That's me getting the cops sicked on me in Lakewood, New Jersey, one of the largest Orthodox Jewish communities in America. 1 month ago, I made a video in a Jewish village in upstate New York and was called an anti-Semite for questioning anomalously high welfare usage among Jews with massive families.
Look around. You will not see a non-Jewish resident here.
We got the Yiddish bus.
The same way I'm against having like all these other languages, there should be a Yiddish bus. You're in America. Somalian, Hispanic, black, white, it don't matter. English is our language, and I feel like we should put some respect on English's name and expect English to be everywhere, and we all should strive to be speaking English in a shared nation, not making these little micro communities of like specifically one culture and then exiling everybody else. The idea itself sounds kumbaya, it sounds lovey-dovey, it sounds ideal, but in practice, long-term, it does not work out. On one end, yes, it is cool when I visit New York and I'm going through like Curry Hill, which is like Murray Hill, but like it's all just like a bunch of Indian restaurants, and that's what I've been told. It's called Curry Hill. Asian towns and little mini Pakistan and all these different communities, right? It sounds dope because now when you go to New York, it's like I'm going all around the world, but it's also a little weird because like you're in America, and to a certain extent, we should be able to be like immersed with each other, you know? Like be a part of each other's cultures and like drop this culture here or there and like all live near each other instead of building communities that make other people feel really uncomfortable.
Tell me about Lakewood. Good place to live?
Amazing place to live. There's so much Jewish life here. It's so easy to be Jewish.
Happy Shabbos, man.
You too. Enjoy.
All right, have fun.
Tyler! I love you, Tyler! Tyler is the GOAT!
So please keep on moving.
God bless you.
You should go because you're stopping traffic. Let's go. Move on.
He's stopping traffic, not me.
Yeah, right. No. You should move on. Nobody wants you here. Please move out.
He was saying, Tyler, he loves me.
Any person from any race has a right to have children.
Why
Besides,
do I have to pay for it? That's all I'm asking. Why do I have to pay for it? Answer that.
Elon Musk has 12 kids. Why can't I have 12 kids?
He pays for it.
Your story point over here is that people can't have children if they can't afford them.
You should not have more kids than you can afford. You're arguing that I should pay for your kid.
I'm not arguing that I was for kids.
You are.
I'm arguing that the government's that.
No, that's our money. I pay taxes.
So calling out, hey, I think it's a problem that the government is paying for all of these kids. Saying that's a problem is bad and anti-Semitic, but it's not if you were to go in the hood of a black community. If you go to the hood and you see a black mama with 5 kids and they're all on EBT and food stamps, that's getting mocked, that's being ridiculed, that's being made fun of. That's being discouraged. You're talking about like, hey, we need to fix this EBT crisis. We need to fix this welfare system. We need to fix this and that. Cool, we can talk about it. I talk about it all the time. Talking about it in this specific context is not hateful. It's not bigoted. It's not anti-Semitic. It's saying, hey, this community right here, they all have about 8 to 12 kids and they're all getting funding from the government assistance, our tax money. probably not a good thing.
Say 150 calls about you already.
What are they calling about?
You're walking up to people asking them questions. So we're just gonna follow you around. I'm let everybody know that they don't have to talk to you.
That's the Shamrim Police, an Orthodox Jewish volunteer civilian patrol squad acting as a second form of police, protecting the Orthodox Jewish community from my questions. And the best part is, your tax dollars help fund.
So, again, if you want to do that privately, for example, let's say you live in a gated community or you live in your neighborhood and you have an HOA, y'all all agree, okay, this money is going to go towards this group, it's going to act like a neighborhood watch and whatever. That's fine. You're all putting your money into that. But this is the problem. This is like the whole fraud thing. To take tax-paying money and funnel it to your own private police force. So you have police and then your own private police, not even private, it's funded, federal funds. It doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of other things too that don't make sense. It's not just the Jewish community. It's not just this one neighborhood. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. We're talking about it all, highlighting it all. The issue isn't a Jew. The issue is the fraud that's taking place, and it's not right.
Security van rolling on us, if we roll on them.
It's like a community watch, but they think they are cops. If you notice, they had their lights on and they just ran a red light.
We got the corrupt police pulling us over.
What am I being pulled over for?
For a suspicious person, could I have your credentials, please?
Oh yeah, sure. You can have it.
Just do me a favor, keep your hands on the steering wheel when you do so.
That seems a little extra. You know what we're up against? Small town police department, small town politics.
This is really all Jewish stores.
Good to meet you. How are you guys?
You two gentlemen, they asked not
Fair
to
enough.
come back.
Amazing.
If you come back, it'll be a trespassing charge. You're
Fair enough.
trespassing.
You just want to be interviewed?
No.
Okay, respect. We got 1, 2, 3 police. I wonder what law they're gonna claim I violated.
We just got a concern saying that you're walking up to people asking them questions, stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm part of Lake Patrolman Public Safety, and we got multiple calls. Same reason why PD got called. I'd say 150 calls.
150 phone calls about Tyler out here in this community asking questions. This is what makes you look fraudulent. You're freaking out over nothing. Literally nothing.
We'll try to live a quiet life. So that's it. We're just going to follow you around and let everybody know that they don't have to talk to you.
We're playing games now. We got the security van rolling on us as we roll on them.
Typical Jewish specific neighborhood, yes. You go.
We have 2 cops. Our camera guys are getting the cops pulled up on.
It's insane. And I spoke about this briefly on my Instagram. I got so many DMs of people living near this town or even in this town talking about the corruption that they've seen, that they face, and being personally accosted and just a lot of different things. It's strange. And again, it's okay to talk about. This is a situation where it's not okay what's happening over there. And I wish we lived in a country where we all just respected each other more instead of tolerated each other more. Because tolerating and respecting to me is not the same thing. You can easily tolerate someone over there and not respect them at all, but I'd much rather us all respect each other, live cohesively around, near and with each other, and be able to travel and experience different things, like to a certain extent, yeah, different cultures. Like there's a different culture in Scottsdale, Arizona than Nashville, than Austin. There's different vibes, right? Cool. Different foods, cool. I'm cool with us being, again, this melting pot. But this mosaic, this like very pocketed different towns and your own police and get out of here and mainly renting to other Jews and this and that, it's odd. That's not America. This is not unifying whatsoever. And this is a big problem to a lot of people out there, and it is something that should be highlighted and should be addressed.
You're creating a narrative. Your headline did welfare addicted Jews. I don't like it.
So your problem is that I went to a town and acknowledged and asked people what they did for a living, if they were on welfare, how many kids they have.
This guy's mad because Tyler's other video that he did on the Jewish community was welfare addicted Jews. Apparently, that's very wrong, that's very anti-Semitic, that's very inflammatory. But if you go to the community and you ask the average person walking down the street, what do? They got a ton of kids on welfare and barely work. And the cycle continues and it spreads more and more. That's addiction. Definitely not Jewish specific. I mean, in that area it is, but like we talk about every race, every ethnicity over here.
Welfare dependent, welfare addicted, what's the difference? Tell me. They need it to survive, and without it, they die. What is the difference?
It's addictive to bait click. That's an addiction.
That's an addiction?
Yeah, you are addicted. You're addicted to bait click.
It's clickbait.
Clickbait. That's an addiction.
Are you addicted to being a victim or what?
I'm not a victim.
You're acting like one.
I'm not crying. Where are you from?
I'm from the heartbeat of Muncie land.
Were your parents on welfare?
No.
Nothing?
No.
No food stamps?
No.
Nothing? Not even food stamps?
I'm renting out, that's what I do for a living. I'm renting out a lot of units for the black community, for the Hispanic community.
Yeah. Rent out Section 8?
Yeah.
What's your problem? Why are you
It's
so
not
defensive?
a problem. You don't seem to be going to any other community doing that.
I've been to every community under the sun.
And you get thrown out of every community that you go to.
Nah, I'm welcome.
No, you're not welcome. Nobody's addicted on welfare. People use it when they have to.
At what point do you have to have 8 or 10 kids? That's another video. Ooh, be sure to subscribe. That's another video talking about big families. I feel like after 4, maybe 5 kids, you lose the plot. To a certain point, you can't even get that close to a kid, I feel like. And I'd love to get more perspectives on that.
You're creating a narrative.
There's behavior at scale, and then there are individual anecdotes.
I rent out units for the black community. Half of them are in Section 8.
Black community notoriously uses welfare in similar ways.
That's why welfare
They've
is
been getting
here.
shit for it for 60 years, though.
They've not been.
What are you talking about?
No, they've not been.
You don't think black people get negatively stereotyped for using welfare? I think that's absolutely the case.
Hell yes.
Yes, they do.
The moment anyone comes to your direction in your community and says anything you don't want to talk about, for that matter,
It's not about we don't want to talk about it.
What do you want to talk about, though? You come up here, you're instantly defensive.
I'm not defensive. I'm having an open conversation with you.
Well, no, you started talking at me. You didn't even say, hey, my name's this, you know.
Very
Here's what we're
defensive.
gonna That's great. You don't seem very likable either. We don't have to like each other.
I am actually pretty likable.
Oh, you're very likable.
I am actually pretty
I'll let the next guy know.
Just because I'm telling you my opinion, I'm not rude to you. Tyler, no disrespect personally to you. You're a great person.
I don't understand the switch up, but yeah.
There's
Sure.
not a switch up. I am not a nasty guy. I'm not being nasty to you. I'm not being disrespectful.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
I hear you, man. Anything else you'd like to share?
No. You're not welcome here, and you're not welcome in a lot of other places based on your video.
You don't own this place. You don't own America. I can do whatever I want.
Whatever you want.
Get in your G-Wagon. Get to work.
You're not trying to bring people together. Somebody hurt you deeply, and I'm sorry.
Somebody hurt you deeply. I'm not being hateful towards you. I'm not this or that. Why are you being fake and phony? Like Tyler said, blacks have been getting the smoke for years. I've talked about it. Welfare queens, abusing EBT and food stamps, the whole 9. And it's fine. You can highlight when something's bad and push and motivate them to change their way. You're not helping your case. The second we start talking about fraud in a certain community, all of a sudden it's every hate under the sun. Why can't we talk about the fraud that's happening? Why can't we motivate and say, actually, maybe have less kids if you can't afford them? Maybe look at welfare as a last option to get back on your feet. There's nothing wrong with any of this at all.
I've never seen anything of this scale to where the families are this large, and I want to make an important distinction between the Amish, let's say, and the Hasidic Jews in Kiryas Joel. The Amish pay for themselves.
Them Amish ain't never hurt nobody. Them Amish mind their business, make amazing butter, got some great eggs, got some great produce. They be down at the little, what's them things on the weekends? Farmer's market. They be at them little farmer's market down here in Tennessee. They mind their business. They really do. They don't talk to them, but a lot of them don't got technology, so they probably can't. That's besides the point. They don't be bothering nobody. They support themselves. They do what they got to do. They barely take government assistance. Like, they chilling.
Self-sustaining. They're not reliant on welfare programs funded by the taxpayer.
If the law is set up to have certain criteria for people and it's according to children, then people who qualify for it are entitled to get it.
That's literally like fraudulent behavior because we make the laws. If you're making a law that says, oh, if you have X amount of kids or you're struggling, you don't make this amount of income, then you get all this government assistance and then boom, you qualify for that. So let me just get all these kids and just do the bare minimum for the rest of my life. And a bunch of y'all do that. And then you got rich people helping y'all sustain yourselves. That's a big fraud scheme. It is a fraudulent scheme.
I'm not sure why when the Jew does it, you're calling it exploitive or taking advantage, but
I think it's exploitative by nature, though. Yeah, why don't you throw all your money at them and help sustain their lifestyle? Why do I have to take a cut of my paycheck to go
exactly.
towards Kiryas Joel's insulated Hasidic Jewish community that has nothing to do with me? I'll never get anything out of. There's zero upside for them to exist for me.
Anyways, we have the government makes criteria for getting financial aid. And if someone qualifies for that criteria with no fraud at all, are entitled to get it.
That's insane sentence. You're entitled to get it because the law says so, so let's just max it out as much as we can. That's fraudulent. That's definitely taking advantage of the system for your own benefit. And a lot of people would say that that seems like to be alleged fraudulent behavior and deserves to be looked into and called out and advised to do something else, do something different, to get off of government assistance. Most people do not like government assistance to be overused, to be taken advantage of. I don't like the idea of someone literally living off and depending on the government. It should be a leg up, and that's it. We shouldn't have you hold your hand and walk with you for the rest of your life. No, the feds should be able to, like, you know what? You're drowning. Let's pick you up a little right real quick. 6 months, get your shit together. Something. But for life and just carrying on like nothing's happening, no. This is some crazy findings.
School board was majority private school owners, you know, mainly Jewish white men, and most of our school was not Jewish. And they had control over our public school system over like the past 10 years, purposely voting no on our school budget vote so that way we would fail, and we lost about 3-2 schools.
Basically, through block voting, Orthodox Jews won enough seats to control the East Ramapo School Board and went on to eliminate hundreds of public school positions like teachers and social workers, while approving millions of taxpayer dollars to be spent on their children's religious private schools, ultimately gutting the public school system for the estimated 9,000 black and brown public school students, while diverting that money to their private religious schools.
They give us food that's rotten and it's cold and it hurts our stomach.
I ask you, do not take our music program away. I love playing an instrument. My brother would be crushed.
And the budget cuts were so devastating that in one instance, an elementary school shut down, and the majority Jewish school board then voted to sell it to a Jewish yeshiva for pennies on the dollar. Basically, the poorest, most vulnerable kids in these communities had their schools gutted and looted, all by a majority Jewish school board.
See, this is the type of fraud that needs to be called out. And this isn't blanket statement saying all Jews are just awful and this, that. No, this town clearly has an issue and this community has an issue and it needs to be addressed more. It needs to be looked in more. This all needs the same attention that was happening with Nick Shirley. All them damn daycares looked into. Okay, let's look into this. Let's look into this very, very woefully like calculated takeover of this town, diverting funds, taking advantage of the government assistance, and just really coordinated and smart way of going about it, how they've been doing it. It needs to be addressed. It does.
Whose kids didn't even attend public school.
We believe that some of the decisions that have been made by the board have not been in the best interest of the public school community.
You don't like it? Find yourself another place to live.
How was your education?
My education, it was decent, but it definitely could have been better if we had the resources that we were allowed to have. But again, for the past 10, 15 years or so, people have been purposely voting no on our school budget vote, so that way we had no funding and money for our school. And, you know, that was done purposely.
And who was voting no?
Majority, the Jewish community. You, like, drive around here, you'll literally see signs saying vote no for a school budget, which I think is crazy. Luckily, we were able to get a ward system to be able to get 3 seats for you know, the wars, but if it wasn't for that, we still would be majority white Jewish men voting for public school students that they don't care about. Yeah, and they purposely go out their way to isolate us. We're basically isolated to the point where we feel like this isn't our home.
A lot of people like to say they're ducking taxes and all that. There's truths and lies to that, but I could only tell you that I've only seen the bad part.
And that goes back to my point of having these different communities sounds cool in ideal. Like, it sounds nice. Yes, let's have like Jewish neighborhood here, black neighborhood here, Hispanic neighborhood here. It sounds culturally cool, like in your head, I guess, but in practice, it excludes people. And we already know just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you think a certain way. Just because you're black doesn't mean you think a certain way. Asian think a certain way, Hispanic think a certain way. Are there like trends within the communities? For sure. But if we're in America, there's lots of diversity. There is a lot of diversity within the people and what they like, what they listen to, what they eat. And that should be celebrated. That's the melting pot of blending together and living around one another. This mosaic, just tolerating everybody? No. Because you end up with situations like this where the people that were there feel just so exiled and just, it's like not a part of the club when you're in America. You know, it gets to a point where we should really look at and analyze what are some things we allow, what are some things that we don't, what are some things that further this idea of what America should be, and what are some things that slow down that progress? What are some things that just alienate everybody else? What are some things that just do not make sense? What are some things that are being taken advantage of? What are those things? That should be discussed. That should be talked about. What are your thoughts on this topic? Do you think that that we should be looking into this more and this fraud and what's going on in New Jersey? Do you think Tyler's a bad guy? Or do you see the hypocrisies between Tyler and a Nick Shirley? Do you see why there's like kind of confusion, how it doesn't really help anybody's case that Nick Shirley gets propped up for highlighting that fraud, but then Tyler gets torn down for highlighting this fraud? It's enlightening. I'll say that. It's very enlightening, and it's very interesting just seeing how Tyler is being treated and how the mainstream media and politicians are looking into this case, or lack thereof. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. This won't be the last time we're talking about this topic, so be sure to subscribe. If there is a certain topic, whether it be generational issues, race issues, fraud stuff, sexuality, like whatever it may be, put a cloud emoji in the topic. That way I can filter out in the back end, and I can just put in a cloud emoji and see all the topics and things you want me to address or questions you have. Be sure to do that. And outside of this video, I'm just talking directly to you. Have nothing to do with like the topic of this video at all. Talking directly to you. Whatever you're going through right now in life, it's called what? Going through it for a reason. You're not stuck there. You will survive. I don't care. I do care. What I'm saying is, I don't care if it's friend drama, family drama, life, relationships, fitness, whatever it may be, whatever you got going on in your life, doesn't matter. There's nothing that is put in front of you that you can't get through at all. It doesn't matter how hard it is or how much you want to give up right now. You can't. You cannot do yourself a disservice like that. You just can't. I know if you still here, I know, especially my subscribers, if you still here watching this damn video and you're still here listening to me right this second, it's meant for you. Clearly you got some shit going on, so take care of it. You're gonna be okay. You will. It may be hard, but you will. Like, you're definitely not alone in what you're going through. Because I know one thing for sure. It doesn't matter what point you are at in your life. There is someone on this planet right now fighting their entire life, day in and day out, just to have the life you used to have. There's someone on this planet right now fighting every day to have the life that you had 5 years ago. So some of us out here need to just calm down, process where our lives are at, look at all the blessings to us and not get jaded by it. Take in the blessings, take in what you got going on, your health, your fitness, or lessons you've learned from past relationships and friendships. Take in all that, process it, then go about your life. So with that being said, love you a ton. I'm very grateful to have you here. Grateful to call you a supporter of mine. Remember again, like and subscribe helps the channel grow a ton. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next video. Deuces.